BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, this is Sutara, and I welcome you all to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience with the Kundalini Awakened teacher, Chrism. We are on our fourth BlogTalk radio presentation, and it is again an honor to join you all in listening to Chrism's teachings for today about spiritual psychic phenomena, which I'm really looking forward to. I have some questions for Chrism from last week's show, which I will read out later. But now I would like to encourage those who listen to the show live to call the phone-in number and ask your question on air if you have any question. The number to ring is 347-934-0026. That's 347-934-0026. So get dialing at any stage during the show, and we would love to hear from you. If you are listening to us on the archive show, you are very welcome. And if a question should arise for you as you listen to this show, then feel free to write it down and email it to kundaliniawakening111@gmail.com. That's the numeral 1 3 times, kundaliniawakening111@gmail.com. And Chrism will address your question in next show. For those listeners who appreciate the teachings on this show and the teachings that are freely available on the other CAS1 sources, would like to support the wonderful work that Chrism does, you can at this time send your contribution gift to Christopher Mitchell, P.O. Box 2263, Santa Rosa, California 95405. That's Christopher Mitchell, P.O. 2263, Santa Rosa, California 95405. And if you'd rather, use a bank account and not the postal system, then you can contact the show's private email address, and I will, of course, forward you those bank details. And again, the email address is kundaliniawakening111@gmail.com. The other sources of CAS1 information are as follows: KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com, that's the numeral 1.com, KundaliniAwakeningSystems1@yahoogroups.com, and on Facebook you can find CAS information at Kundalini Awakening with an exclamation mark after it. So, welcome again, everybody, and here is today's teaching from Chrism. Hello, Chrism.
Hello, Santara. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
I believe we're still having some sound difficulties that we'll be trying to work on. Am I coming through clearly?
To me, you sound fine. If anybody is listening and can hear that we are having difficulties, maybe you'd ring the number, please, and let us know.
Yes, please do call in. We're trying to work on this. I have a correction to make on the mailing address that you put out. It's Chris Mitchell, and it is Post Office Box 2663. Santa Rosa, California, 95405. That's Post Office Box 2663 at Santa Rosa, California, United States, 95405. Santara, I believe you had some questions from the previous show that I'd like to work with at this point.
Yes, I have indeed. A listener says they enjoyed listening to the show very much. And would you explain further what you meant when you said last week you must earn Kundalini?
Okay, I believe the question that Santara just said, because the sound isn't coming through well, the question was, what do you mean when you say that you must earn the Kundalini? What I mean by that is, in many respects, a person having Kundalini, and we'll assume for the moment that they don't know that they're having Kundalini, will typically resist the many phenomena that that comes associated with it. Everything from what we're going to be talking about today, spontaneous movements, spontaneous vocalizations, things of that nature. They will fall into fear and they will resist these phenomena. And what I mean by you must earn the Kundalini is the fact that you must give over control of your body, of your life, of the control of your body, of the control of your life to the Kundalini. And a form of exquisite surrender. Now, if you have a teacher, person who has awakened Kundalini at this point, some people, and I find it to be very effective, if they, instead of visualizing the Kundalini within themselves, which can be very impersonal, non-physical, and difficult to visualize at times as an actual consciousness, if you are able to surrender to the teacher, and this has got to be a teacher that you have real positive trust in. You can surrender to that teacher, as many in the East do already. They will have their guru or their teacher, and they will surrender to that teacher as a way of surrendering to the Kundalini within themselves. Here in the West, we don't have a high comfort level for teachers. We have a higher comfort level for the spiritual aspects of a consciousness, and so we'll surrender to God, but we don't really know what God is, or we'll surrender to an ideology or a religion or things of that nature. In the West, it is more difficult, and yet, if you do have that teacher in your life, that flesh teacher, the teacher that is alive right now, and they are of a trustworthy capacity for you, then I would definitely look to surrendering to your Kundalini using that teacher as a conduit. And so this is what I mean by earning the Kundalini. You will have to go through different levels of surrender, different levels of giving over the control of your life, the control of your body, the control of your mind, the control of your emotions. One day, as we'll discuss later on today, you may just start crying for no reason at all whatsoever. You have no reason to cry, and there you are, crying a puddle of tears. Well, this is another symptom of the Kundalini, and this is part of an aspect of having to earn the Kundalini by giving yourself into it. So that's what I mean by that first question. Santara, what was the next one?
The same person would like to know if you would expand on what you meant by extreme forgiveness rather than forgiveness. Yeah.
Thank you, Santara. So once again, the question is, an expansion on the idea of extreme forgiveness. Extreme forgiveness is a term that I use to describe difficult forgiveness. Often when something happens to us in a negative context, we may be able to just forgive lightly and gently and move on. But, extreme forgiveness is for extreme actions that require a deeper forgiveness. Say somebody hit your child with their car. Well, that level of forgiveness for the person that hit your child with their car is going to be different from the forgiveness that you would give somebody who is cutting you off on the freeway. It's a level of the extremity of what has occurred that would cause forgiveness to be used. So extreme forgiveness, goes along with extreme events. And also to yourself as well. If you have done something that you feel is terrible, that you feel is very, very hard for you to let go of in the manner of guilt, you must forgive yourself as well. And as extreme as the situation may be, as extreme as the action that you may have committed may be, you still must match the extremity of the action with an extreme level of forgiveness. Was there another one, Santara?
There is, Chrism. Where is it? Is superconsciousness or the I am the same as Kundalini?
No. Superconsciousness, I am, is still outside of the understanding of what it is to be divine. It's still connected to the human ideology of awareness and of, I think, therefore I am. Kundalini is different. Kundalini's transformation within you can indeed open you up to your I am awareness, but it actually goes even further than that. It opens you up to divine awareness. Divine awareness is one of the highest states of consciousness that a human being can enter into and still reside within a living physical body. Okay. Were there other questions from the last show?
There was one more, Chrism, thank you. It is, why does karma get balanced in childhood?
Yes, it's very important. When we're children, we're absolutely helpless people. We have no control or very little control over what happens to us in our lives. We're like baby ducks walking across a freeway sometimes. Gruesome picture that may be. We are subject to the winds of change that we have very little control over. And this is a perfect environment for karma to be dispensed. And so many of the Kundalini people in their childhood will have very, very, very difficult childhoods. Sometimes they'll be abused physically, sexually, depending on the circumstances of that person's life, the circumstances of that person's karma. So when we're a child, we have no choice but to surrender. From a karmic level, we really have no choice. I mean, we will scream and we will cry and we will run and we will hide and, we will do everything that the young human person would do, but karma you can really not escape. And so we will have that karmic clearing happen to us as a child because we have no choice about it. Childhood is a very, very, very special time in a person's life, as we all know. But we're most susceptible to outside forces when we're a child. We are most susceptible to not being in control of our circumstances. And it's that expression of not being in control that allows karma to be given and karma to be experienced and balanced in that small child. As the person ages, they gain more control, and the karmic awareness will shift into a level that deals with a person that has more control. The laws of karma are very, very strong and very, very real, and it's not something that the person is unaware of. You're unaware of it to the degree that you're behind the veil of knowing why your karma is a certain way. Many people will say, "Oh gosh, this bad and terrible thing happened to me, and therefore I must have a bad and terrible karma." Well, not so. Sure. There's a possibility that a person has a bad and terrible karma, and yet the whole idea of karma in the lifetime of a person is for it to become balanced, for the debt to be paid. And those payments will be very, very, very short or very, very, very long, depending on what it is that the person's karma is balancing for them within their life. As a child, it's a greater level of balancing that is achievable than an adult who may resist that karma. And in a sense, build more karma. Children are so innocent, that it's difficult for them to build new karma because of that innocence. And so it gives the child the availability of unintentionally focusing on dealing with the current situation as it is, however it is, in their lifetime. And that is how the children will balance their karma in early life. Santara?
Thank you, Chrism. Those are the questions from last week.
Okay.
There's no more.
Yeah, I would like to give the numbers out again. We're still having a little bit of an issue, it seems, with the sound quality. I believe you had John, your husband John, looking into how the sound is coming through. Could you ask John if it's coming through all right?
John says that you're coming through fine and I have got better. That was the last report. I wasn't. You were fine the whole time, Chrism, but mine was a bit bolov, he said, which means sort of vibrating a little. But I'm okay now too, I think. Am I okay, John? No response. I'm sure if he let us know.
Can you give the numbers out again, Santara?
I can. I'm fine. He just said we're fine. We're coming across fine. Okay, so the number is 347-934-0026. And you can ring at any time and we will be delighted to hear from you.
Okay, the topic of this show is spiritual psychic phenomena associated with the Kundalini. I won't be able to fit everything in within an hour and a half show. I want to cover some of the main spiritual phenomena that can occur for a person having the Kundalini. One of the first things I want to cover is that Kundalini is not linear in how it dispenses its symptoms to the individual. A plus B does not equal C. 1 plus 1 will not always equal 2. Sometimes it'll equal 11. Sometimes it'll equal railroad tracks or equal sign. It is not a linear, logical experience much of the time. And so if you're looking at it within that context, I will invite you to widen your ability to consider the Kundalini in a broader context. It is not always logical and linear, and yet sometimes it is. So with that in mind, I'm going to encourage you to open to all possibilities, all strange possibilities that may occur to you within the context of moving towards the Kundalini, say moving towards a spinal sweep, which is a spinal sweep, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is the energy collecting at the base of the spine, and it's actually the last three vertebrae of the tailbone. And the energy will begin to permeate the bone in the pelvic regions, and it will permeate that bone in a way that causes a person to have pressure at the base of the spine. This pressure can feel very, very, it can be felt very clearly, and in some ways it can be a bit painful at times for the person who's just beginning to awaken to Kundalini. The pressure can build, it can build, it can build, it can build, and it'll build so much and with such severity that a person may seek out medical assistance. And the medical community will look at that and go, oh, geez, well, let's do a test here. Let's do some, let's take some pictures of it. Let's do all the different measurements that we can do to see if there is a bone spur or a problem in the lower spinal column. And they'll go and they will do what they can do. And typically, they won't find anything, and it'll become diagnosed as phantom pain, which doesn't really help the person, but it gives some sort of a context with it. This pressure that will build at the base of the spine is in reality a collection of Kundalini that is permeating the bone and suffusing the bone with a higher, stronger, faster level of energy than what the body is normally used to. And as that energy moves through the pelvic girdle into the lower spinal column, hearing that noise now, Santara, are you doing anything?
Somebody joined us to listen through their phone, and I just unmuted a mic. I think we're okay again now.
Okay. So as the energy moves through the pelvic girdle, it will begin to broaden itself in a kind of like a large pool at the base of the spine. Once again, this is not always comfortable, and yet it is not always uncomfortable either. This does not necessitate a pain response at all. Sometimes it does, and sometimes just the strangeness of the symptom itself scares a person or frightens a person into feeling that it is so strange and it is so frightening that therefore pain is created with regards to that. Now, as this activation in the first chakra continues to expand, other phenomena are going to also begin. You start hearing sounds or music or chanting or unintelligible voices. You may start seeing movements in the corner of your eye that you turn your head and they're gone, but if you just look straight ahead in the corner of your eye, in your extreme peripheral vision, you'll see movement there, and you may even see shapes. This will often happen concurrently with the Kundalini activating within the lower first chakra, the first chakra there. So it's not just one thing that will occur. There are actually many different things that will occur at the same time. Kundalini is a very, very dense layer of symptoms when it first starts occurring for the person. And these symptoms go across the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the psychological body, and the spiritual body. All 5 bodies of the human expression will receive phenomena often at the same time. Okay, and so I will invite you to consider this, and if you're in the middle of a beginning Kundalini expression, really, really relax, allow this to occur, don't resist, don't go into fear if you can at all help it, and allow things to mature as it's going to mature within you. Not everybody gets a linear Kundalini activation either. Some people activate in different chakras first. For instance, one person may activate it at the tailbone, the other person may first activate at the heart. People who are experimenting with drugs or alcohol or other forms of recreational chemicals, they may activate at the 7th chakra, and their process will force them to go from 7, 6, or 7, 5, 6, 3, 2, 4, 1, things of that nature. And so people have different combinations. I do, within a teaching context, encourage people to go from the 1st chakra on up. And when I give Shaktipat, I definitely go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Many of the qualities of symptoms are quite exciting in a way. You'll actually hear the buzzing of bees. You'll hear the chirping of 1,000,000 crickets. You'll hear animal sounds that are they're not able to be distinguished by you or labeled with, oh, that's a cat, or oh, that's a dog. It'll sound something very, very peculiar. And because it is strange and because it is unknown, you will typically have a fear response associated with it. In many cases, the Kundalini will keep this up with you until you begin to get a bit used to it. And as you get used to it, your fear response will lessen. And in that lessening of the fear response, more Kundalini symptoms can jump into the mix. It's a very, very, very exciting spiritual transformation, but it's not just spiritual. Remember, it's the 5 bodies of human expression that are all undergoing a transformation at the same time. Now, in an extreme scenario, all 5 bodies will be having multiple different expressions or symptoms concurrently. But it doesn't have to be that way either. Sometimes it can be one symptom for the physical, another symptom for the mental, and that's all you'll get. Sometimes it'll just be with the emotional, and that's all you'll get. Sometimes it'll be spiritual, mental, and emotional, and that's all you'll get. Sometimes it'll just be psychological and physical. So you see that the divine within you, the Kundalini divine, has many, many, many options and combinations in how it delivers the symptoms to the person. And a lot of this will also, once again, follow a karmic pattern. Okay. Your karma mixed in with Kundalini awakening will equal a certain pattern of symptoms coming to you. Things that you need to work on as your Kundalini is coming forward. So if a person is, we'll just say a person is has a strong level of greed in their psyche, in their consciousness, and they exhibit very, very strong levels of greed, and yet at the same time, they're a very spiritual person, and Kundalini is coming to them. Well, in their dream life and in their waking life, the Kundalini will bring to them examples of greed that they need to work on, and this will come through levels of symptoms. Greed is often based within the equation of want of gain and fear of loss. And so it will help a person understand the challenges that greed brings to them through the fear of loss and through the desire or the want of gain. And so consider this within your Kundalini awakening context and see where the Kundalini has been communicating to you about a certain issue in your life that maybe the Kundalini is asking you to work on. You have to remember this is not like electricity. This isn't like the wind, at least in the way that electricity and the wind are understood in the Western societies. Kundalini is smart. It is intelligent. It has its own consciousness. So you, as a human being, you are a consciousness, and then there's another consciousness within that consciousness. And yet this Kundalini consciousness has a much more specific agenda with you, which is to, transform you within a divine agenda. So please remember that as I'm talking with you about these psychic symptoms and things of that nature. Kundalini knows you better than you know yourself. It knows you better than you know yourself. It knows your history. It knows your karma. It knows what you're feeling. It knows what you're thinking. I know it sounds like Santa Claus. But it does know you. And it knows you very, very, very well. And it knows what you need to do in order to accept in a greater way and often in a more balanced and enjoyable way. It knows what you need to do to have the Kundalini, to have itself come into a greater expression within yourself by unblocking some of these issues that you may have. And it's not just greed. It can be greed. It can be laziness. It can be, any of the qualities of blockage that a person might go into because of their life or some of the patterns of expression that they've been coming into, at this part of their life. We make mistakes and we learn from our mistakes and we move on. And Kundalini recognizes those mistakes and helps you learn from them. Some of these extreme symptoms will be, I'll just start out with the emotional body. Crying, a lot of crying. Crying is not what we think it is. Crying is more a release valve for the body. It's giving the body the ability to release energy when that energy becomes too much. Like the little, I'm gonna just show you how old I am right now. When my mother was cooking for her 4 children Spanish rice back in the 60s, she would use a pressure cooker sometimes, and on top of that pressure cooker was a little steam release valve that would release the steam from inside the pressure cooker, releasing the pressure. Okay? Well, this is what crying does for the human body. It releases that pressure. So in many ways, crying is an absolute must. I will encourage you to allow those tears to flow. And if you have heavings of the body that are associated with those tears, let the body heave. Let yourself cry out loud. I'm not saying that, in the middle of the supermarket or at the gas station that, you start weeping and wailing. Wait until you get into the car. Allow yourself not to cause a scene. People will see you crying, and their sympathy and their consideration for you will come up, and so and especially with family members. If a family member or children see you crying, they'll think something's wrong, and so if you can find a private time for you to have those tears. Nighttime is good for this. But also just areas of your day or night where you have privacy and you can cry. If you have a spouse or you live with housemates, roommates, family, whatever, just explain to them what it is, that it's just a level of emotional balancing that you're having. All is good. Don't worry, and thank you so much for your concern. Really allow the tears to come. Find a way to cry and be okay with it, especially you men. Men have a much harder time with crying than women do, and they'll resist it much stronger than a woman will. And this is a strength for women because they have the ability to release that energetic pressure from their system with greater flow than, say, a man would because of how we're raised in the West. And so, men, I want to encourage you to really let the tears flow. In many cases, you'll have no option. The Kundalini will force that flow no matter what, but I don't want you to resist it. Don't resist the tears. The tears are good. They are a good thing. They are a pressure release valve within the body and specifically designed for extreme energetic states, of which Kundalini is one. So the crying will come to a person. A person will also experience some mood swings. And this is all before a spinal sweep, which, once again, is the energy moving quickly and strongly from the base of the spine and fountaining out the top of the head, out of the fontanelle, not surprising. So before this occurs, as the build-up to that major event is occurring, a person may go through some mood swings, may go through some levels of anger at not being in control of their body. Oh, my gosh, I'm not in control. And you just kind of, if you're one of these, strongly self-disciplined people and you're going, how could I have been so out of control? Oh, and you just kick yourself for saying that or doing that, whatever it is. And I want you to understand that high levels of self-forgiveness are extremely important here. You are not in charge of your actions so much as you have been before you started coming into the Kundalini in a stronger way. So, understand this and understand that these mood swings are natural. You are not to hate yourself for this. You're to forgive yourself, and you're trying to forgive and love and be as balanced within the emotional body as you can. Do not consume alcohol during these areas of Kundalini. Do not do the drugs. Do not follow the form and format of what many people who are not in the Kundalini will often do with regards to trying to maintain a control or to force a state of consciousness on their body. Having an emotional issue, let's go to the bar, have a few whiskeys, right? No. Having a hard time at work, let's go to the pub and have a few pints. A pint is a lot. Don't do that. That is not going to help you. That will actually cause you to have some more problems with it. Yes, and no judgment against people who love to have pints. It's for Kundalini people, for people coming into this extremely exalted spiritual state, that may not be the best thing to do at that time. Okay, we're not judging people here for what they do. One size does not fit all with regards to humanity. Humanity, people can have their wine and their booze and their drugs and whatever and not be coming into Kundalini, and they can have it and be just fine. They can be just fine with that. So, but when you're coming into the Kundalini, you're going to want to make some changes. Another symptom that we'll have as we're coming towards the spinal sweep. This is very important. Entities. These are a discarnate consciousness. I'm going to label ghosts or spiritual consciousness that is not in a body. These become very attracted to a person who is coming into the Kundalini. The spiritual world understands the absolute power of Kundalini. It's a very clear understanding. And there are many spiritual consciousness that will flock to a Kundalini awakening person to observe this divine transformation. Okay? There are also many forms of discarnate. Discarnate means without flesh. So a discarnate consciousness means a consciousness that does not have a physical body. Many forms of discarnate consciousness will also come to try to cause the person to experience certain forms of emotional expression. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's love. So, they will try to inflict a certain program or a certain level of expression to the person. And so you may, because you're coming into this and it's at the early stage, it will seem you won't know what's going on per se. Sometimes you will. Sometimes your Kundalini will allow you to sense that, oh, this is a presence that is different than me. This is another consciousness that is different than me. And you'll get to know this, not saying that you'll get to do anything about it at that point, but you'll know this, you'll understand this, and typically, not always, but typically it will scare you. It'll frighten you. We are not prepared by the society in the West to deal very well with discarnate consciousness or entities. And so this can be a real life changer. This can shake the foundations of your current understanding and belief in what is and what isn't, and what should be and what shouldn't be. This will fall sometimes far outside of what your expectations would be. And sometimes when our expectations fall to such a degree, it can wrap us into a very strong level of fear and denial and confusion, and it can be a very, very, very difficult experience for a person. I want you to know something about this. Because you're having Kundalini, you are a very, very powerful person. The entities know this, but they also know that you don't know this. And this is what opens the door to any kind of interaction they may want to inflict upon you or to generate with you. Most entities that are coming at you due to Kundalini lie. They are not truthful, and they will try to manipulate you to do certain things in your life. They will try to control your life. They will try to take you over. Imagine a medium, a psychic medium, sitting at the table, and everybody's joining hands in a seance, and, oh, spirit of the dearly departed, whatever, come in to me and speak through me. Well, this is what happens to a Kundalini person times 1,000. And sometimes times 1,000 different consciousness, but also to the degree of the power of the communication. And it's not because you're all of a sudden becoming a medium. It's just because of what the Kundalini is doing with you with regards to transforming you into a higher spiritual being. Okay, you are at the blend of the two worlds. You're at the blend of the spiritual and the physical, and so you get to live in both worlds. Imagine two circles. Now move the two circles closer together, and where those circles intersect, that is where the Kundalini person is. That's the third world. Okay. Forget about the whole idea of, first world, second world, third world countries, that we we associate with levels of technology and poverty. The third world is the Kundalini world, and that is a world that is created from the blending of the two. So these entities may come to you in your waking life. You'll see them coming out of the walls. You'll see them coming out of the floor. You'll be sitting in a restaurant and someone will be staring at you across the room, and boom, they're just gone. Or they can do some pretty wild things to try to initiate fear within you. I'll tell you one just to kind of give you an example of what they try to do. Is you're sitting in a restaurant and minding your own business, say reading a newspaper, you notice somebody's like staring at you, and you casually just kind of like glance over there. And they just as casually will take the head off of their shoulders, position it on the table, and turn the eyes of the head so that they're still looking at you. It's an entity. You're just like, oh, geez, try to. You have to laugh sometimes. It's just like, oh my gosh, that was really, really fun. You give them an A for creativity, but you don't let it scare you. It's easy to do. And they're not all there to scare, but many of them are. Some are there just to manipulate you. Some are there just to ride you, which means they attach to you so that they too can kind of go through your Kundalini awakening experience and gain knowledge by parasiting off of your experience, parasiting, jumping into your body and living with you in your body as you go through your Kundalini. This is quite common. It's very, very common. At this point in your, you start having this experience with the discarnates. You're gonna feel extremely uncomfortable with this at first, unless you have this knowledge, unless you understand what's occurring. You're going to be extremely uncomfortable with this, and you're going to look for the many, many, many different ways to, oh my God, I'm possessed. How do I get rid of this dark spirit? And you'll go to a psychic, which, a psychic is typically a person that has like a huge cloud of entities around them. And for a Kundalini person to go to a psychic is kind of like McDonald's making a house call. Giving yourself to discarnate consciousness that would want to feed off of you. So I don't suggest it, but not all psychics are the same either. You'll go to a Reiki person, and hopefully it's not a Reiki person that puts their hands in the air and says, healing masters of the universe, plug into my hands. Well, geez, that's just an invitation to all these discarnates to plug into that person's hands and then transfer themselves right into the body of whoever they touch or whoever they're waving their hands over. Okay? We can be so innocent in our spiritual applications, because spirituality is the great unknown in the West. It's an extreme level of unknowing. And even in the East, with Taoism and some of the martial artists areas, because they're so affiliated with control, it's like, okay, you do this to control that, you do that to control this. they miss, or they just kind of choose not to deal with those aspects of the spiritual realm where they're not in control. So those don't get written down. Okay. And so those are, and also, if you're a martial artist and you see everything as a competition or as a way of predator versus prey energetic exchange, this will take you to some of the lower areas of the astral or the spiritual realm, but it causes a blockage from going further because your mindset doesn't allow you to. You always have to be in control. You can never surrender. Never say die. Never surrender. Always be the gold medalist in the competition. Not all of Kundalini is about competition. Very little of Kundalini is about competition. It's something for the people in the martial arts understandings to consider. Martial arts, first of all, let me say something about martial arts. It can be a very, very positive experience. Martial arts, they can give you levels of discipline and levels of confidence that other systems just cannot even come close to. Okay, so I've taken martial arts. I'm very familiar with martial arts and the ideology behind martial arts, and I applaud martial artists and the teachers who teach martial arts to people. It's a very, very, very positive thing. But within the Kundalini context, it doesn't always cross over very well. There are lots of things that have to be surrendered by the martial artist in order to come into the Kundalini without damage. And by damage, I mean without a damaged psyche or without a damaged emotional body. So these entities, this can really be a huge life change for people, shaking them to the foundation of their idea of the reality of life. And this is why I wanted to bring it up first. Often, very, very, very often, people will experience the entity phase of the Kundalini. And very often, these entities will try to infect a person. They will try to control a person. They will try to possess a person. They will try to dominate a person. They will try to do things with a person that the person wouldn't do with themselves. And you don't have to mind any of these inflictions. You don't have to at all. Once you realize what is occurring, you have this information that I'm giving you right now. Once you know what is occurring, your knowledge is power. You now have power over those entities. And it's not to say that, you can just lift your hand and whisk them away. No. You have to understand that as you come into the blended world, or the third world, the Kundalini world, you're coming into a completely different environment. And this environment has its own animals, its own insects, its own plants. Entities are part of the environment of the third world. So just as when you walk outside your door, you're not able to eradicate the viruses or the bacteria that land on your body or in your body, just as you're not able to clean off the different life forms that attach themselves to you, such as, you're walking through a forest and a little spider might get on your pant leg, or, there's so much life in the physical world that we don't know that attaches to us. Everything from bacteria to viruses to minute insect life to fungi to, it doesn't have to be a bear, dog, cat, or anything that we can see. And so just as we walk into our environment, we have those experiences unknowingly, so will we walk into the third world or Kundalini world environment and have similar experiences. So you don't don't get to just wave your hand and say goodbye, all entities. It's no more so than you can walk outside and say goodbye, all bacterias. As you walk barefoot through that puddle. Not going to happen. Life will exist, and life exists in the Kundalini world, third world, just as it does on the physical earth here, and in great plenitude. What you can do is you can force it to evolve a certain way. So as you adopt a certain thought pattern, by virtue of all of your cells in your body are in a constant communication. When you adopt a certain thought pattern, all cells in the body adopt that thought pattern. All cells in your body have the ability to make a complete and total you. So you have about 17 trillion, typically, 17 trillion little yous that are making up the larger you. So let's use Centaura, if she's here. So Centaura has 17 trillion minor Centauras that make up the major Centaura. And, the entities may want to do, if they attach to Centaura and she doesn't want them to attach to her, well, then she may adopt a pattern of thought or a pattern of activity that they won't respond well to her, If they're feeding off of her experiences, well, then she just feeds them some food that doesn't taste good, and they'll just move off. Sometimes the best route, rather than, putting ice on top of your head or going to a psychic or the medical field or anybody, saying, oh, I've got... I feel like I'm possessed. If you go to the medical people and say, oh, I feel like I'm possessed, well, hello, padded private housing. Hey. You'll be diagnosed as schizophrenic with bipolar, positive tendencies. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it's up to you. But for me, I would not do it. Neither would I go to a psychic. Believe me, I went through all of this. Everything that I tell you about in these interviews, I have gone through. Okay. With the entities, in many cases, you are forced by the Kundalini to evolve them. They are a constant reminder. You can feel them in your body. They'll flow from one point to another point. You can feel them in their body. They're a constant reminder that you must take a higher spiritual course. In Hindu, or actually in Sanskrit, there's a term called ahimsa, H-A-I-M-S-A, ahimsa. Ahimsa means to cause no harm, to kill nothing. Okay. And Kundalini will often in a person adopt a level of ahimsa, not only to corporeal life on this world, but also to entity-based consciousness, because in our 5 sense understandings of life, it's if we don't like it and if we feel we're being attacked, well, then we're going to try to destroy it. And what the Kundalini will do is it'll try to steer you away from thinking in that way, thinking in the form of destruction or killing or violating another consciousness right to exist, whether they're existing in you or on you or outside of you. So there is that. The other aspect of it is you have a constant understanding of how it is you evolve those around you. When you're helping to evolve something within you, well, you have an understanding about how your actions and your thoughts and your emotions begin to evolve those around you as well. If you're a teacher and you're teaching kids, well, every day that you go to school and you stand up in front of that classroom, those kids are seeing you on many different levels. Okay, many, many, many different levels. Not just visual, not just audio, not just tactile, but they're seeing you psychically as well, even though they may not, understand how they are seeing you psychically. And so, as a Kundalini awakening person, you are able to determine your level of appropriate activity that will not only aid yourself in your spiritual evolution with the Kundalini, but it also aids those who are standing or sitting or present within your Kundalini radiance. Your radiance is as much a part of your body as your skin is a part of your body. And as your radiance enfolds other physical consciousness or spiritual consciousness, your actions and activities begin to have a modulating effect on their evolution, just as well as yours. So please consider that. Now, the entities will often try to talk with you. They will do everything they can do to get their attention. In many cases, you'll hear them quite clearly. They'll scream at you. They'll tell you to kill yourself. Really, they do. There are different levels of entities. There are entities that, shall we say, are ethically challenged entities. And these ethically challenged entities will do everything that they can do to cause you to have pain. Everything they can do. They will come to you in a nightmare way. They will tell you to kill yourself. They will tell you to kill your children. They will tell you to kill some stranger. They will tell you to steal. They will tell you to do everything that you know you're not to do. Okay? And so once again, this is why it's very important not to do alcohol. Alcohol strengthens the ability of an entity to come into your body and to begin to control you through your desires. Okay. Santara, am I coming through clearly?
Yes, you're coming through clearly, Chrism.
Thank you. Thank you. So are you, by the way, right now. So
good.
So, as these entities will promote coercive, hurtful actions upon you, I will suggest that you immediately begin a crucible of reversal process. Crucible of reversal is that every time an entity tells you to do something horrible, you do something positive. You do the opposite of it, if you have to do anything. Otherwise, you can just realize okay, these are entities. These are Kundalini world mosquitoes. I don't need to be bothered by this. Even though, yes, you'll hear them screaming in your mind. In your mind, you will hear them calling you names or trying to get you to do hurtful things. This is just a training session. The Kundalini allows you to experience this because these are the lower echelons of the ethically challenged entity domain. You will move through this. This is a temporary place for you. Don't ever feel that this is going to be the way it is for the rest of your life, because it isn't. This typically happens 3 to 4 months, and then it moves on. If there is more of an attachment to learning from this area, then you will have to stay there longer. But this is an area that will move on. Now I'm going to cover the entity thing in some other programs too, but I wanted you to get a foothold on this, especially for those of you who are just coming into the Kundalini and you're starting to hear voices. You're not crazy. You are not crazy. Your experience of consciousness is being expanded. And do not attempt to have a conversation with these entities. Do not. I don't care how friendly they make themselves appear. They lie all the time. Okay, they lie, they manipulate. And that's the challenge, you see. That's the challenge, is to be able to see the truth through the lies, to be able to discern. That's the lesson that you're being given. So do not initiate communication with these discarnate entities. Do not do their bidding. Do not believe that if they say, I am God and you shall do as I say, do not listen to that. God will not tell you to do anything bad to yourself or another person. Neither will Kundalini. So, in a way, by their fruit shall you know them. Well, this is something that you can use as a form of discernment. But a lot of them are pretty crafty. They won't tell you to do anything bad. They just want to get a foothold into your consciousness. Yeah, they just want a foothold there because they know that they've got time on their hands. Your time in the body is finite. Theirs is not. So do your best to not engage these entities for any reason at all. Just consider them parasites, that eventually will fall off of you because of how you begin to move in through the Kundalini. You don't need to put ice on your head to get rid of them. You don't need to put camphor oil on your body to get rid of them. You don't need to do any of the various and many home remedies or unguents or creams or religious equations. Go in the name of Christ. Typically doesn't work. So don't try to get rid of them. The best thing to do is to ignore them. Really ignore them. And move from them. And, knowledge is power. You have this knowledge now. This power will really, really, really help you with regards to entities. Now I'm going to move to another area that can be extremely life-changing. This is another Kundalini symptom, and it is called a Kriya. A Kriya is an automatic body movement, a spontaneous movement of the physical body or the emotional body or the mental body or the psychological body or the spiritual body. The most observable Kriyas are with the physical body. And this is where quite often you'll wake up in bed and you'll find yourself in bed in a yoga position that you may not even be taking yoga. And all of a sudden here you've got this yoga position going on as you're sleeping next to your spouse. And, good luck explaining that to him or her. It could be kind of comical if you think about it. But also it can be a bit frightening and surprising if this is not something that's within your normal practice. These kriyas or these spontaneous movements are given to the five bodies of human expression by the Kundalini as a way of suffusing the body with the Kundalini. So the Kundalini will move you into certain positions that allow a harmonious flow of energy to go through the body. And this can be, in many ways, just a thought. A thought can cause a person to have a Kriya. I'm sorry, I'm moving my phone a little bit. Is that causing noise?
No, but you got a bit distant. But John has just told me the sound is very good, Chrism.
Oh, good. Everybody, my cell phone that I'm talking through is broken, and I'm literally having to hold it together with my hand here, and that's why I keep checking in about it. So anyway, with the Kriyas, as you move spontaneously with the Kriyas, don't resist it. It can be very painful. Just allow yourself to be moved. Sometimes these will be fast movements, and you'll probably want to do those in private. Sometimes these movements could look like a seizure. So I will definitely, suggest that you do those in private. the last thing you need is your spouse or a family member or a friend or a housemate calling the authorities because they think you're having a medical condition. If it's looking like a seizure, that's a very likely possibility. So be advised that Kriyas are natural, nothing is wrong. Yes, your body may flip and flop about on the floor. I'm not kidding. It may flip and flop and twist and turn on the floor. You may be grunting or making animal noises. It's another form of a Kriya. Do not feel that you are sick or that you're possessed or that anything is going wrong with you. More is going right with you than wrong with you. It's just way outside of your expectation of events that would normally, you would normally think would happen to you. Okay? So Kriyas are very common. It's not 100% of people who get the Kriyas, but it's such a large percentage, just like the entity, that it has to be considered a major aspect of the Kundalini awakening equation. So when these Kriyas occur, don't resist, go with them. Now, remember, earlier in the program, I mentioned to you that the Kundalini is intelligent. You can talk to the Kundalini and say, Kundalini, I have to go to work and I can't afford to have, I will lose my job if I start having Kriyas at work. Please, I will give you my nights. I will give you the time I have away from work, but at work I need to not have the Kriyas. And guess what? You will not have Kriyas at work. It is amazing to see that occur, and it's true. You will not have Kriyas at work, and it will live to its word. It is good. You can trust Kundalini. But you have to live up to your side of the bargain. If you start trying to resist those Kriyas at night, then you're pretty soon you're going to have those Kriyas at work again. Okay? I see I have 18 minutes left. I want to open it up to any questions, Santara, that might I'm going to continue this in the next show, by the way, just so you know, next week. Any callers, Santara?
No live callers, Chrism, at this time, no.
Any questions?
Yes, there's a question. I don't know what to do. There's no reason in my life to be sad, but I'm crying a lot, feeling depressed. It's Vera.
Okay.
That's
Vera?
it.
This is from Vera, Vera?
Yes.
Hi, Vera. Remember about the crying. Now, often when we're crying, because all our life we've associated crying with feeling depressed, for the most part, see if you can relate to how many times you've been crying because you were in pain or depressed, as opposed to how many times you've been crying because you've been laughing too hard. And, you might find that the pain and depression has much more of a foothold with regards to being connected to your tears. You do not have to be depressed with this. Often, with the Kundalini will use the channels of sadness and crying to prepare a person to have bliss. Bliss is a very, very strong level of energy on the person. And when the person is having bliss, they can only have it for a certain amount of time at the beginning because it's too much. It's way too much. And the body will start crying and heaving and shaking and in many cases sobbing, okay? It doesn't mean that they're sad. It means that they're channeling that excess energy out of the physical system. So I want to invite you, Vera, to realize that you're not having tears because you're sad. That's just what your normal consciousness is able to associate the tears with. Now, unless you've had an occurrence in your life that has caused you to be sad, a death in the family, or you've lost your job, or something that is sad. But if it's just out of the blue, and you're having other Kundalini symptoms, I would like to see at least 3 other symptoms from you that correspond with Kundalini. From a Kundalini perspective, your tears are helping you. A lot of Kundalini people complain, they call up to me and they say, oh, my God, Chrism, I have this terrible pressure in my head, this pressure in my head. Well, one of the best ways to relieve that pressure is to cry. So, Vera, your tears are tears of grace. They are tears of goodness. They are not there to make you feel sad. Your ego is jumping to that conclusion because that's what it's known. Its whole existence is, okay, when I cry, I'm either hurting or I'm sad, and so therefore, if I'm crying now, then I must be hurting or sad about something. I just don't know what it is. It's the Kundalini, and you don't necessarily have to come to that conclusion that you're sad or depressed. Embrace your tears. Thank the Kundalini within you for giving you the pressure release of tears. Tears come to us when we're laughing or crying. We have to have it. It is a balancing expression of our emotional and physical body. Very, very important. Very important to have the tears. So I want to take this moment to personally bless your tears, Vera. Bless your tears. Thank your tears. Have the tears. Do not associate sadness with it. Matter of fact, if you can take a flower or a beautiful picture and just look at that as you cry and then really associate your tears with the beauty that you're seeing, you'll feel that you don't have to be sad. Sadness is not a necessity. It is simply a lack of understanding about why the tears are coming. And, Vera, I would like to thank you for listening to this program. Are there any other questions, Santara?
I have no name with this one, but it says, are out-of-body experiences psychic phenomena or is something else?
Out-of-body experiences they're definitely, they belong to the third world. They belong to the blend of the physical and the spiritual. They are natural. They are natural to our body. Every time anybody goes to sleep, they leave the body. A certain portion of their consciousness leaves the body. The out-of-body experience often, if you start doing it consciously all the time, and you can feel the separation sequence, the waves that travel from the feet to the head really fast and form into a vibration. You'll hear that pop or that loud gunshot or thunder as you leave the body, and then as you go through the different levels of understanding that you're out of the body and that you pretty much do anything that you want to do. These can be precursors to Kundalini awakening as well. Astral travel or out-of-body experiences are very, very, very strong educational tools, and they are psychic phenomena, but they're also physical phenomena, because when you go through the separation sequence, you can feel. I mean, when I was, back when I was beginning to take an interest in these areas, I would generate out-of-body experiences on purpose, and then later in bed, adopt a certain position, do a certain breathing technique, and boom, there you go. And to feel that, to know that, and to realize that is the beginnings of an understanding of an extreme expansion in what is real. What we consider real is a matter of perception. And if you have a very narrow perception, then your understanding of reality will in turn be very narrow. If you have a broad perception because of your experiences out of body and say in the body, well, then your reality becomes extremely expanded. And you know that you can go to a certain place in the spiritual or astral realm that will give you a certain experience. And there'll be many, many, many different places like that within the astral traveling region. So astral projection is a wonderful spiritual and physical phenomena, psychic phenomena, and I would suggest it to everyone. You do it anyway. The only difference between doing it with intention and memory is not doing it with intention and memory. You still do it at night. It's just remembering it and then controlling it. That's very, very cool. That is, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself through my early astral traveling, and so I recommend it to everyone. I used when I didn't have the way to do it myself, I would use Robert Monroe's techniques. I found his to be the most effective. The HemiSync, HEMI-SYNC, and doing it in the daytime. Remember, people always associate astral traveling with sleeping at night. Well, it's just too easy to fall asleep. So if you do it in the daytime, set aside an hour and a half, well, you can astral travel on your lunch break. So you got a question at work that needs to be answered. Like you're not able to discern the answer at that moment. We just take it into the astral with you. And you have help there. And that help will give you assistance. Looks like I have 8 minutes left. So I'm gonna leave these 8 minutes left. And thank you, whoever that was who asked that question. Astral projection is wonderful. Anybody else have a question, Amelia?
No, not at the moment, Chrism.
Oh, good. Next week, I am going to continue to cover symptoms. There are many, many, many symptoms, but I wanted to cover these symptoms this week. Next week, I want to cover some more. And as promised in earlier shows, I will also be talking about Tantra and the many different forms of Tantra in a future show as well. I would encourage everyone to explore their Kundalini. Don't be afraid of the many areas of spiritual psychic phenomena that will occur. Don't be afraid of that any more than you're afraid of your finger. It's a part of who you are. You have to remember, Kundalini is endemic and natural to the human system. It is as natural as the hair on your head and your fingers and your feet and toes. It is not anything to be afraid of. And yes, it does constitute a big jump in a person's evolution, but so does puberty. Puberty is also a big jump in a person's evolution, and yet, are we afraid of that? Do we take great means to avoid that? No. And it's fairly understood because it happens to everyone that, puberty is going to happen and we're going to learn from it and our voice is going to change and, body's going to change. Well, the same thing with the Kundalini. The Kundalini is a spiritual puberty that allows us to come into the greater reality when we are ready to have that. And it's just the fact that just like a 6-year-old isn't ready to go into puberty and a 13-year-old is, well, not everybody's 6 and not everybody's 13. And so certain levels of experience with a person indicate that they are ready to have Kundalini. And everybody will get it. Everybody will get it in the time they need to get it. Karma, once again, coming back to karma. Karma is a great determining factor on whether a person will have Kundalini in this life, a Kundalini awakening. I want to suggest also that Kundalini yoga is not awakening the Kundalini. Doesn't mean that it can't happen when you're practicing Kundalini yoga. I support Kundalini yoga. I just don't want people to think that Kundalini yoga is synonymous with Kundalini awakening. It is not. What they do is they take the Kriyas, as I described earlier. The Kundalini will give a certain kind of Kriya to a person. Well, what the Kundalini yoga people did is they took those Kriyas and they organize them in a way and in a sequence that they feel will help them to have a Kundalini awakening. So Kundalini yoga is really about trying to initiate a Kundalini activation or awakening within the body. And that does work sometimes. It's not all the time, but it does work sometimes. And it is a great, very positive yoga system. So I want to honor everybody who is doing the Kundalini yoga belief system. You don't have to wear a turban to do this. You don't have to grow a long beard. I'm sorry, Santara, but you don't have to grow a long beard to to practice Kundalini yoga. You can just be the person that you are and practice Kundalini yoga or Hatha yoga or hot yoga. If you do the hot yoga, make sure you bring something to hydrate yourself with. But you'll also find that once Kundalini is awakened, you don't need to do any yoga. You don't need to do any yoga. But a yoga that I will definitely suggest with regards to unawakened or awakening Kundalini is the 5 Tibetans. The 5 Tibetans are a vertical yoga system, meaning they go up and down. They don't go side to side. And with Kundalini, it's an up and down process as well. You're not going side to side a lot. You're going either up the spine or down the spine, up the spine or down the spine. So the 5 Tibetans, if you go to YouTube and just go Chrism Kundalini on YouTube, you'll find my channels there, and I do a couple of videos on the 5 Tibetans, and I will recommend those. I will also recommend meditation. Stillness meditation, where you just sit in a chair, you sit on the floor, you put your fingers, your index finger and your fingertip and your thumb tip together, and you do a meditation, just following your breath, listening to your breath. Or you can, I can give you a mantra. You can just say Om. Om. You can do those things as well. And very, very, very positive. And I will be speaking on that subject as well. I would like you to know that I do have a CD for sale. If you would like to contact Eileen, her email is eloro55@yahoo.com, and she will set you up with a CD. And once again, her name is Eileen, and her email is eloro55@yahoo.com. Or if you call Santara or you get a hold of Santara, she can also hook you up.
We have a caller, Vashti. Can you turn off your
Yeah.
Vashti, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Can you turn off what you have on in the background?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute it off.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Great. You're through to Chrism. It's Vashti, Chrism.
Hi, Vashti.
Well, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you.
I just wanted to call in and commend you and Santara on a wonderful beginning here. I think this is extraordinary to actually have this type of thing on the internet, and to be able to bring it to especially the new students that might have an opportunity. And so I just wanted to call and say thank you. I love you both. That's it.
Thank you, Vashti. Thank you very much. And thank you for partaking of that last Shaktipat as well. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. It was most remarkable for me because, as I said, it was more of a deepening understanding of the Kundalini rather than more of the phenomena. So
we're going to get cut off now because the program is finishing.
I see you got 37 seconds.
Bring us back again. It was lovely hearing you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
You too, indeed.
Everybody.
Chrism, if I could just give out the number again, the P.O. Box number, P.O. Box 2663, Santa Rosa, California, if anybody would like to send a contribution gift to Christopher Mitchell. Thanks indeed, everyone.